I'll be presenting on how to predict the travel demand in urban areas, especially the demand which is responsive to the supply, responsive to the system, responsive to the land use, responsive to the socio-economic characteristics and population density. There are different types of travel demand models which are in implementation. Like when there is uncertainty, we'll be working for probabilistic models. When there is certainty in terms of linear, non-linear relations, there are certain mathematical models we propose. And when there is a certainty plus uncertainty in combination, there we try to use certain decision making process by a specified questionnaire where certain uncertainties will be weighed with the answers given by the people who get interviewed on the demand. Travel demand estimation is crucial to understand the type of road network required, type of functionalities of the road required, and how much sensitivity with reference to the land get utilized for different purposes like residential, commercial, semi-commercial, industrial, and how to reduce the congestion, risk in the travel, pollution, deconcentration. We need to generate an integrated relational modeling. The factors which are considered for influencing the travel demand should be identified and their behavior should be identified with reference to time and the space. There are multiple mathematical models you will be observing in the chapter 3, like the models based on the relations with arithmetic and rate of change, like integrating a differential development be tracked with a model named linear and nonlinear models. In the linear models, we try to identify the relation between dependent variable we call y as the travel demand in trips, and independent variables we call them as influencing variables, like the factors which influence for occurrence of the travel demand. In the linear model, there are the models like trend projection, which just extrapolate over a time how much travel demand enhances from the base period. There are models like the linear regression equations, where we try to identify the relation between influencing variables and the dependent variable and develop the model for predicting the future. There are certain models like the growth factor methods, where we identify the how much is the growth by virtue of the population, economic and social growth, how much it is going to contribute in terms of the traffic growth. The linear models like the simple regression equation, like the multi-regression equation, like graphical trend projection, like the expansion factor per year of the growth of the influencing variables will be taken as basis and identify the growth of the traffic. For example, when you take the trips as y variable and x is the influencing variable like the population, we try to identify from the base level survey how many people contributing for the traffic. The population by the number of trips is going to be the trip rate, and the trip rate is going to be the relation between the population density and the reaction towards need of performing the travel. For example, a population of around 10 lakh people are living in a place. There around 2 lakh people are traveling for the work, and 3 lakh people are traveling for the education and shopping and socio-economic trips. We try to see per day how many trips are generating by them, and we try to assess the trip rate. The trip rate is going to be the growth factor, a lead for the growth factor. Like for every year, if you calculate that, you're going to get how much is the growth in the travel demand exercise. And that rate is, if you take average for 5 years and say it is going to be the growth rate for the 6th year and so on, you're going to get the travel demand prediction by growth factor approach. Similarly, in the trend projection, we try to plot a relation between the number of trips over a time. Like from 2015, 2016, 17, 18, 19, and 20, how many trips are coming from a colony or from a zone. When you get this information and plot a relation between y and x, y is trips, x is the time, you'll be getting a trend. And that trend, if it is a linear straight inclined line, you project it for next year, like 2021, 22, 23, with the average of the growth taken as an intercept for projecting the linear trend in an inclined manner. Suppose the trend is upheaval and downtrend, having sometimes higher growth, sometimes lower growth, and it is consistently occurring. You try to take all the upheavals, all the upward projections per year, and average them and draw a line of higher end estimation from 2020 towards 21, 22, 23 by taking average rate of growth of traffic in a extreme upheaval trend. That becomes the maximum projection. The average of upheaval and downtrend rates, take them and project it from 2020 towards 2025. That becomes the normal prediction, smoothened prediction. If you predict from only the lower end downtrends as a basis, taking as average and put it correctivity of the lower end prediction of the travel demand from the 2020 to 2025, that becomes the low demand estimation. In this way, the trend projection is going to be plotted on a graphical scale by estimating the low travel demand, medium travel demand, higher travel demand. And on the basis of the planning, maybe on the extreme side, on an average side, or in a fund control planning of the infrastructure like the roads density required, this travel demand is going to be useful, which is called a trend projection technology. And the third approach, what I told you, is the causal modeling approach, where we try to take in a zone, dividing into the higher income group, the medium income group, low income group, and the trip rate is going to be averaged or assessed. Like high income group may be traveling 3 trips per day, medium income group is traveling around 2 trips per day, and low income group is traveling 1 trip per day. Let's say this may be the rate for a family, maybe having 3 members in a family, 5 members in a family. That data we will be collecting for every household of the 3 categories of high income, medium income, and low income, and relate them with their socio-economic behavior, like with their average income, like with their car ownership, like with their family size, family structure, and number of employees, and the value of the property there, and the access to the road density, and the literates in a family, and so on. Likewise, we consider the x1, x2, x3, x4 as influencing factors and relate them with the y, the travel trip rate. By using the least square method, we can identify the trip rates and relate it with the influencing factors like y equal to a0 plus a1x1 plus a2x2 plus a3x3 plus a4x4. X1 is let's say population density, x2 is the family size, x3 is the number of employees, x4 is the average income, x5 is the access to the road, and x6 is the road density, and x7 is the frequency of the preferred travel transport system. By using these influencing variables, for every group having the data of high income group, let's say 10 to 20 samples, low income group 20 samples, medium income group 20 samples, and generate a mathematical model. Once you get the trip rates for these three categories, then project how much is the transition taking place with reference to the social, economic, and demographic characteristics and influencing factors for the next 5 years, 10 years, and 15 years. And the projected values of x1, x2, x3, x4, and x5 be substituted with the regression constant a0 and coefficients calibrated from the previous base level data. And when you substitute the future projected values of influencing factors from x1 to x5 and assess the y with the calibrated values of a0, a1, a2, a3, you are going to get the trip projections for each category. Like how many people are going to travel in the future with high income group, medium income group, and low income group. This is how the linear mathematical models are going to be used to cross-sectionally view how much demand is going to occur, which strongly influence with the linear trends, like the rate of change of each influencing variable has influence on the dependent variable. The second model which I would like to say is the non-linear models. The non-linear models are two types. One is the inherently linear model. Second one is inherently non-linear model. When you plot the relation between the travel demand y and influencing variable x1, influencing variable x2, x3, and so on, between y x1, y x2, y x3, and so on, the relations are having a non-linear trend, having no critical asymptotes, having no critical bends, but having certain curvature based relations like parabolic, like exponential, like polynomial. These three we call it as inherently linear models. The models like the second order polynomial, the first order polynomial, the third order polynomial, the models like exponential model, product model, and logarithmic model, these will come under inherently linear models. For example, when you take the y and relate it with log x, or log y and log x, or log y and log x, the relation which is having certain parabolic form be transformed into a linear model by applying logarithm either x or y or to both, then we call it as inherently linear. Then y is equal to a plus b of log x, we call it as a linear, inherently non-linear model, which is a non-linear model having no asymptotes. Similarly, if the relation between y and x is straightened by applying exponential form either to y or to x or to both, then if it is converted into linear, then we call it as a inherently linear model which is explicitly nonlinear. At look, it the relation shows a parabolic form, exponential form, a logarithmic form, a curved form of the relation. So this can be solved by y equal to a e to the power of x or a b e to the power of x or e to the power of pi equal to a bx, a plus bx, and so on. So likewise, by applying the exponential form to transform the externally outlook nonlinear into the linear, we call it as a inherently linear model. The third one is like the power function model, y equal to ax to the power of b or y equal to ab to the power of x. So by applying the certain power functions, and if the relation of the nonlinear showing externally be converted into the linear, then we can solve it by applying exponential either to y or to x or to combination and develop a model which can solve through linear modeling. Remember that any model which has a linear conversions, the predictions are going to be much accurate. When there are certain bends, at the critical bends rather, at the starting or the end or at the intermediate portion, when you draw a relation between y and x, y and x2, y and x3 and so on, and if the trends are considered to be having critical bends, then we call it as a inherently nonlinear model. For example, like the second order polynomial and third order polynomial, sometimes we call because the upheaval and downtrend are constant. So we can treat them as a inherently linear model. Like y equal to a plus bx, y equal to a plus bx plus cx square, y equal to a plus bx plus cx cube, and so on. So the potential to travel will be taken as x, and the demand which occurred is taken as a y. So x is going to be the demand of potential, which is the attractive measure for demand to perform in the form of a travel. So in this manner, even the second order, third order polynomial can be called as inherently linear in a nonlinear model. When there are two asymptotic bends, critical bends, which has taken a part in the sort of a relation between y and x, with critical asymptote at the beginning and critical asymptote at the end or at intermediate points, there are a few mathematical models. We call it as a logit model, logistic model. We call it as a Gompertz model. We call it a complex polynomial model. These are three mathematical models which can be seen through a part of a literature available in the mathematical research book, which can be useful to see how the calibration can be made by Gompertz and by nonlinear logit model or by third order polynomial model. These are the three mathematical models which we use for development of the travel demand predictions by using nonlinear mathematical models. The calibration procedures, the relations are the similar procedures as we follow for linear, the least square method, or maximization approach, or minimization approach, a differentiating approach to see the relation between y and x, which are having certain non-linear terms of relation. For example, y equal to a e to the power of b to the power of x of 10 times divided by log e to the power of log b to the power of x. Likewise, we see certain relations In the nonlinear trends, the calibration procedures are different. They're not common to Gompech model or to the logic model as we see. This sort of modeling frame will be used when the trends are changing, initial with the critical band, then consistent, demand and supply responsive, again getting into the critical. When it is not possible to solve, then we use this nonlinear calibration procedures. All these are tailor-made mathematical models, not a well-defined mathematical models, which can be useful for demand prediction. These are two methods which you need to study, and these two methods are available. The literature can be seen in the standard mathematical models, how to use the nonlinear model, how to predict them. In addition to my presentation, you can refer these two models from the mathematical literature. Further, I would like to say that there are three mathematical models developed by virtue of the approaches in the travel demand estimation. One is the sequential approach. Second one is the sequential recursive approach. Third one is the direct approach, simultaneous approach. By relating output of each model to the second level as input and try to cross-sectionally divide the demand with the perspective of the attractiveness of the destination, preferential attractiveness of the mode, preferential choice of travel of the route, and preferential purpose of the travel, and preferential time of the travel. The demand which is estimated from the first step, like from the trip production or from the trip attraction, or the addition of these two, we call it as a trip generation. And we divide them from the outcome of this travel demand with reference to the destination choice, mode choice, route choice, frequency choice, time choice, or the purpose choice. When you cross-sectionally divide them, bucket them, the travel demand into minute micro-level divisions, which is going to be sequentially connected. The output of the trip generation becomes input to the trip distribution. Outcome of trip distribution becomes input to the mode split. Outcome of mode split becomes input to the route choice. And the demand estimation, whatever you make it in the first step, is going to be the final and total. And in that, we try to sensitize the influencing factors with the assumption that the travel demand occurs only because of the demographic, socioeconomic characteristics. And the further sensitivity, why people prefer a car more preferably, why people prefer the expressways, why people prefer direct route than indirect route, why do people differentially travel for different purposes, why people change their frequency of travel by virtue of peak and off-peak, will not be addressed in this approach. But the trips which are occurred by virtue of the demographic and socio-economic will be further sensitized with the factor of influence. This approach we call it as a sequential approach. The second one is the sequential recursive, where this approach is not accepting that the demand is not only because of the demographic and socio-economic characteristics. Demand varies by virtue of the socio-economic characteristics. The destination choice will vary, their route choice will vary, their mode choice will vary, the frequency of travel will be vary, and purpose of travel will be vary. So they try to see from the higher sensitivity of the people and their behavior by virtue of their standard academic social characteristics. They try to see like the demand and supply integrated and projected for the trip occurrence. That's going to be a uniform model for everyone. Some people they prefer to travel by bus. Some people they prefer to travel by two-wheelers. Some people they prefer to travel by MRTS. Some people they may prefer to travel by scooter. So when you realize the supply affinity factors also of dominant influence in occurrence of the travel, then it can address all groups of people. Because of that nature, the sequential recursive travel demand prediction has come into the picture. In the sequential recursive, we try to initiate the demand prediction maybe from the route choice or from the mode choice by considering equally the demand influencing variables like demographic socioeconomic characteristics and supply influencing factors like the road network and the affinity of access and connectivity, and the system affinity like frequency of travel, mobility of affinity of the transport system, and generate a mathematical model. In this process, we consider all the demand, supply, system influencing variables and occurrence of the trips like y and develop equation. And in this equation, we understand the weightage of each factor on the total travel can be tracked upon. And from this, the research, what we get to understand is that many times the supply characteristics dominantly influence, follows by system, follows by the demand. Because no one expresses their socioeconomic characteristics when it comes to the common area utilization, travel patterns. Sometimes they may use even the MRTS, high occupancy vehicles, even though they prefer to travel by bus because of the travel by car because of the level of service they expected. All the time, remember, the level of service cannot be limited only with travel time of the less travel cost, but also influenced by comfort, convenience, safety, reliability, frequency, and so on. So by virtue of this, the sequential recursive model is more sensitive and it is highly appreciated in the research that once the model is developed, the dominant influencing factors like the average car ownership or average income or access to the main industrial area or CBD area or road density, if they are dominant in the weightage in occurrence of the travel demand at mode split or route assignment, that high weightage factors will be consistently connected in the successive model also. So we'll also go in the sequential recursive in a sequential manner. We're initiating from route assignment, follows by trip destination, trip distribution, follows by trip destination or trip production, or follows by mode split. So we go in a sequential manner, but initiating from demand, supply, or demand, supply, and system sensitive. If that process is maintained, we conclude that sequential recursive internally tie up the dominant influencing factors as a successive interfaces for second level, third level demand estimations. Like if you initiate from the route assignment, the second level is going to be the mode split, the third level is going to be the distribution, fourth level is going to be the destination choice. When you take the dominating influencing factors in all the stages of the modeling, the travel demand what you get is consistent like X at all the stages. In that way, the travel demand prediction is of more sensitive, where the travel demand by sequential is more stable. And the travel demand by sequential can be used for operational model, general planning model, whereas sequential recursive is for problem specific, demand sensitization with the problems, supply sensitization with the problems, the system affinity and its appreciativeness for the people can be analyzed by sequential recursive. In this manner, suppose if you want to understand how the MRTS is sensitive to the people, sequential recursive is better. Similarly, whether the outer ring road, the bypass road is useful for the people, Sequential recursive modeling is better. When you want to develop a new state, new districts, new cities, converting the smart cities of the cities, initiating with the estimations of sequential planning is better than sequential recursive. And when you want to know the general opinion, like how many people are prefer to travel by MRTS only, and how many people are prefer to give the general road utility tax, like we don't see the travel attributes much sensitive, but to try to take all the variables in one model and develop it, we call it as a simultaneous mathematical model. This is useful only an abstract modeling pattern as a reflection, just to see the problem we really need to address or not, or how much fund is approximately required for development. This simultaneous model is going to be used. So in this way, these three models are having different applications, and I have presented in this time of the 31 minutes or 32 minutes two mathematical models, the linear and nonlinear, to predict the travel demand. Three approaches of the planning in predicting the travel demand, like the sequential recursive, and simultaneous. And we will come back with the other topics in the next session.